G'day guys, welcome to Beyond the Finish Line, the podcast for runners of every pace, every distance and every goal. My name is Matt, I'm a 5 times Ironman and an endurance coach. On today's episode, we are talking all things rest, recovery, deloads, everything you need to know. We're going through our highs and lows and we have got 3 banger listener questions to round out the episode. But before I can get into any of that, I need to introduce the other half of the podcast. She is a 4-time marathon runner. She's about to run Sydney Marathon in under 4 hours for the first time. And she is a content creator, social media superstar. Georgia, how are you, my darling?
Matt, I'm absolutely fantastic. What an intro. That was awesome.
Working on it, mate. Working on it. Trying to bring the energy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. And I'm loving the energy for this upcoming, 3.5 weeks into Sydney Marathon. So
yeah, on the home stretch now.
I know, on the home stretch. So exciting things ahead. Exciting things. How are you?
It is fantastic. It is funny if people went back and listened to like the opening 2 to 4 minutes of every single episode, say the last 6 weeks, and just your roller coaster of emotions.
It is a true depiction of what it's like to go through a marathon training block. Honestly, I'm feeling the feels. Yeah.
But last big week, you got, 80-something Ks this week, and then you're on the downward stretch?
Yeah, again, in the spin cycle, I'm really feeling it this week. I just feel so off. I don't know, yesterday I was just not feeling like myself. So, today we're recording on a Tuesday. We always record Mondays, but I just said to Matt, I was like, I don't want to bring this energy to the pod. So yeah, I'm just a little bit of lack of sleep, a little bit of everything catching up with me. I've been doing quite a lot and I've kind of spent the last couple of days reflecting on the last 5 weeks and I'm like, okay, that's a lot. This is why you're so tired. So yeah, in terms of prep for the marathon, big week this week. I've been at the physio. We've got lots of running to do and I have to fit in my long run before work on Friday plus city to surf on Sunday. So huge week.
Yeah, massive. And it's like we spoke about on a previous episode where my business and athletic stuff alternate. So when I am super busy with prep, I don't have business stuff. But for you, they both peak together. So you have to balance just 2 different worlds. So it gets a lot.
It is a lot. And I was actually replying to a company today who had wanted me to do something for the marathon. And I had to make a really tough decision to turn down a paid collab because it was kind of clashing with another sponsorship I have. And the other sponsorship, I don't actually have a disclosure or anything with them that I can't work with other people, but I just felt like it wasn't as on brand for me. It would be a bit confusing for my audience and it was just too much. I was like, I just can't take on another one. So it is. It's my busiest time of the year because City to Surf is huge in Sydney. It is like the biggest running calendar day for brands. Everyone does a pop-up. Everyone does an activation. So there's that. And then, of course, Sydney Marathon. So it's
busy month.
I think yesterday I had about 4 brands come to me asking if I could do something for City to Surf. And I was like, guys, this is too late.
Leaving it last minute.
Yeah.
It's like, surely we can get this organised earlier.
Yeah, it's like, we have a run club. We have this pop-up. We have recovery. We've got afters. There's Saturday pre-runs. And I'm like, guys, I can't do it. As well as a lot of them were shoe brands. And I was like, sorry, I can't work with another shoe brand. So, I'm pooped.
Yeah. But I think it's healthy to, one thing they say in business is like, if the person who has the most leverage is the person who can say no. And I think it's not necessarily saying it from a leverage perspective with brands, but when you realize what you're valuing versus you could easily just bite the bullet, sacrifice your training, go and do all those brand collabs, make some money, and that would be a smart decision. But we also spoke about this in our what are you willing to sacrifice episode. It's like, no, for me to get the most out of my training, I have maxed out my brand potential and everything else needs to go into training. So I think it's a strong sign for where you are mentally and physically that you know where your breaking point is.
Yeah, you're right. It is. I think it took a bit, it was a bit of kind of deliberation between myself and Nick. We were like, do we do it? Do we not? Like, it was good money, and like everyone needs money, especially in this economy. But also it would just, I feel like my following would be really confused. So basically, just like some context, I work with a hydration partner at the moment. I've worked with them for a year. I love the brand. I love everything they're about. And then a really big player in the hydration kind of game came to me asking to do something for the marathon. They were obviously, because it was a really big brand, they were willing to just pay whatever they want to pay. But I was like, I would prefer my following know that I'm all in on one brand, and I'm like, this is the brand I love, this is the brand I trust, instead of just going, oh, well, I'll quick cash grab, do this brand deal, and then I'm exhausted from doing content that I have to do. I don't necessarily love the content I've made because I've had to get it out really quickly. So it was quite a few different things that kind of came together, and I thought, you know what, I want to respect the people who've been with me the longest instead of just jumping on someone who just wants me for the marathon.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a lot that goes into it. It's so interesting, like people don't see that side of socials, they just see all people get brand deals and they're like, oh, you'll just sponsor anything. But it's like there's a lot of emailing and talking and admin and selling yourself, and that in itself is very exhausting. So
yeah, I think the majority of those people are not entrepreneurially minded. Like whether people recognize it or not, Georgia runs a marathon is a brand. Georgia runs a marathon is a business in itself. So like, yes, you have to sell, you have to market, you have to network, you have to do all of these things exact same way that I have to do as the performance project to grow said brand, business, etc. So I think people just, because it looks the way it does being on social media, they don't always make that correlation. But I think that's just a bbit short-sighted.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said, I've got to really focus on my training now. This is the biggest week that I have, and then I've still got 2.5 really strong weeks that I need to focus for. So yeah, I'm kind of just almost at the top of the hill, and then I can start, slowly making my way back down. So I'm excited to, get stuck into it. I'm kind of getting a lot of messages at the moment, which is my high for the week, I guess, is people just being like, I don't think you realize how many people are behind you and we're so excited for you. And I'm like, I'm getting emotional. I can't go.
I tell you what, that is something interesting. And I found that in the last couple of posts I've made and post Ironman cans was people who never like a post, never comment on a post, never message you. But when they see you either do something really, really awesome or you try and do something awesome and come up short, they come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
People that you didn't even know, like, it's like, I know these people have followed me for ages, never interacted with them, they've never interacted with me, but then all of a sudden they're like, dude, I watch everything. Keep going. And it's an interesting thing to observe, but it's also really cool to experience.
Yeah, definitely. And, when these people kind of come out of it, you're like, oh, wow, as you said, you don't even realize that they're watching your content. But sometimes your biggest supporters are the ones that are just kind of sitting in the background waiting for their moment. But yeah, it's getting good. It's exciting. Lots of people, I feel like, because of the whole sub 4 thing, it's quite catchy. And I remember you talking about that when you were doing your whole, I'm going to be doing a sub 10 hour Ironman and everything. But even in the park, I had a couple of guys come up to me on Sunday and they're like, oh, hey, sub 4, how you going? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't like people I would never expect to watch my content. And I was like, that's fun. So yeah, they're definitely coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. How's your week of kind of getting back into training going? Have you made any more decisions as to what you're going to do with your Ironman?
I haven't trained at all this week. The only exercise I did was when I came down to Sydney and ran with you guys.
Did a half marathon.
Yeah, just rolled that one out, mate. No, I'm actually really struggling with it, and I have no idea what I'm doing at the moment. So I know from the outside looking in, it sounds like a first world problem. Like, what race do you want to do? Where in the country do you want to travel? But it is, it's a lot deeper than that. So I'm still just sort of working my way through it, and I haven't yet found out exactly how to articulate and contextualize it yet. But as it currently stands, I would say I am more not going to race Ironman Western Australia.
Yeah.
But I am yet to make a final decision.
Like a solid, yeah. Do you feel like there's a bit of a weight that's lifting when you're talking about it more and saying, I'm probably not going to do it?
No.
No, right.
Like there's a trick, the old trick, like you flip a coin and whatever the answer is, like you should feel a weight, you should feel a reaction. I feel my chest tighten for both. So it's tough because like there is this part of me that's like, if you're not I'm not a good enough athlete that if I'm not 100% in, like going sub 10 it's not possible. If I'm 98% focused, forget about it. And then there is the part of me that I'm like, if I take time off the sport and focus on the things that I want to focus on with the business and the podcast and a couple of other projects we're working on, like if I start to regress, if my fitness starts to drop, if my conditioning starts to drop, am I good enough to make that back and get better? Yeah. It's like, it's just this dichotomy that I am trying to process through.
I feel like you and I are in a very similar position at the moment because I'm feeling the same in terms of what's to come. And I know there's going to be a big break from big races for me. And so I'm also going, oh God, but I've worked so hard and I've come so far. And for you, like you've never been closer to a sub 10. So it's like, well, if I take time off, is that going to then push me back further? Yeah, it'd be hard.
Yeah. And I guess the final part of it is for me, if I step away from it and focus on something else, does the sub 10 become something that I never accomplished? Does it just become this thing that I tried and dedicated years of my life to do and never did it?
Yeah.
And that's a really tough thing to like come to terms with. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen. That doesn't mean in 3 or 4 months' time I'll be chomping at the bit to do an Ironman. But right now I do not have that drive or desire to do it. So it's I just need to work through it.
Yeah, and that comes down to as well knowing in yourself whether you need to make the call to go, actually, I need to take time off. I need to listen to my body. I need to make a smart decision instead of use my head a little bit more as opposed to go with my heart that's like, go have fun, go do this, like keep trying. Because I feel like you're going to wear yourself down so much that then the goal will actually become further apart, like away.
Yeah, I feel like
it's like a catch-22.
Yeah, that's it. It's a rock and a hard place. Like you just damned if you do, damned if you don't, however you want to phrase it. But I would say in the next 7 to 10, I need to make a decision before the end of the month because like realistically, if I'm going to start training for WA, I need to start next week.
When is the next race? Port Macquarie after that?
No, the next race is WA.
No, after WA, sorry.
Oh, after that. No, there's New Zealand in March, and then there is Cairns in June, and then Port Macquarie got moved to October.
Oh, so, that's right.
Don't act like you're all up to date on the Ironman calendar.
I listen in our group chat, and I have heard that being said.
Georgia's keeping track of calendars, who knows which one to do. That's her bombshell, guys. That's why she's not doing marathons anymore. She's going to Ironman.
Going to Ironmans. I know. Gosh, I've had this conversation more than I'd like to admit lately, which is so funny. But I was actually, speaking of that, talking to someone I follow today. Her name's Soph Bennett. She just did Ironman in Leeds. She did an amazing job, and I was chatting to her. But she did a whole thing on people asking questions about the Ironman, and they were like, oh, how do you wee? Like, how do you do this? How was the swim? And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And I was like, oh, she didn't train that much. Like, maybe I could do it.
The training isn't...
No, Georgia, no.
The training isn't... If you just want to do a recreational Ironman, as ridiculous as that statement is, the training isn't that much more than a marathon, like a hard marathon. It is just obviously spread out over 3 disciplines. So
That's what she said.
Where it ramps up is when you start adding performance, but like
yeah, well, she was saying
10
that
to 12 hours, you'd be fine.
crazy. She was saying she does a lot more bike running than she does actually running, and she just finds that you don't actually need to do that much running when you're training for an Ironman.
So yeah, swim and cycle fitness contribute to running, but running does not contribute to cycle or swim fitness.
Yeah, that's what she said too.
Yeah, so the more you swim, the more you swim and bike, that just takes care of everything.
Right, very good. Do you have any highs of the week?
Honestly, no. I haven't trained. I haven't done anything. I've just been spending a lot of, actually, no, I tell a lie. Shout out Bron. She's my star pupil at the moment.
Yeah.
She's been with me for 10 months, with the Performance Project for 10 months. In the last 3 months, she has run 3 half marathons. She has PB'd every single one for an accumulated time of 25 minutes and 10 seconds.
So
which
incredible.
is just, it's wild. And she's trained so hard for so long and didn't see results. Not that she was racing, but training was hard. She wasn't sure if she was progressing the way she thought she would. And she's put it all together on back-to-back races. So
wow.
Absolute superstar. So yeah, and now she's off going to do ultra marathons next year. So she's just skipping the marathon altogether and going to ultras, which
going straight to ultra.
Yeah. Well, she loves trail running, so. But yeah, that has been my high of the week because she's been a stud.
Oh, I love that. So good. I love seeing when people kicking goals and stuff. So
yeah, it's awesome. Especially the people who, and you could probably resonate with this, and a lot of our listeners could probably resonate with it, is the people who doubt themselves the most, and they're like, oh, I'm not an athlete. I don't know if I can do this. And they don't necessarily have that killer mindset. They're just there's a lot of self-doubt, and then they go out and they do it, and they're like, oh my God, I can do it. And then you see them get better and better and better. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm slowly starting to see that at the moment, just looking back at the exact same runs I did last year and going, okay, so my time was, per kilometre I was running 30 seconds slower. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So
I messaged you the other day. I was like, you're about 2% away from where we need you to be. And you took that as an insult. I was like, what the fuck?
No, so I didn't take it as an insult. I was kind of like, 2% to me, I was like, that's not helpful. That's not helpful knowledge. To me, that's not like, oh, you're almost there. Keep going. Woohoo. I was like, I'm so close. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, if you were fit before you peaked, that would be a problem.
Yes, it would be. No, and this is why you and I are so different, is that I'm like, I need more context behind what you're trying to tell me. And you're like, no, that's it. That's it. 2%.
That's
the compliment.
That's it.
2%.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
I know, literally. I'm grasping at straws here, please just give me some encouragement.
Tell me I'm good.
Oh, honestly, I'm just struggling this week. I'm like, I need some encouragement. But anyway, we'll get there in the end. You are. Okay, amazing. Well, I thought let's jump into today's bulk of the episode, and today we're going to be chatting about the difference between deload, rest, time off, and how do you know when you need to implement those things. So how do you know
important topic.
How do you know when to deload? How do you know when you need to take time off to rest? How do you know when, if you're sick, things like that. So I thought maybe we could start with breaking down the key terms. Last week we spoke about the top 15 running terms that you need to know about. These terms were in that, but let's just rehash them. So let's start off with deload. What does that mean?
Deload is just reduced intensity and volume. So either reducing the distance that you run and how hard you run, or the amount of days you run. And you want to do that over sort of anywhere from 5 to 10 days. Amazing.
And then when it comes to, a deload, that is kind of like having a little bit of a rest period, but is that the same as taking rest?
No, so I would classify rest as completely off your feet, so no running. You could say rest, you could do, I guess it's bundled in with active recovery, where maybe if you run a lot, you might cycle or you might swim or even you might strength train. But I would consider rest completely off your feet or doing something that is not your main sport.
Yeah. So like say if you're sick or injured or something like that, you'd be doing something but like swimming or sitting on the couch.
Yeah. Or walking, hiking, on the spin bike, something like that.
Okay, amazing. And so then that comes to time off, which is kind of like, you know, when you've, say for myself, having a really big training block and then you then have time off because you need a break. Is that right?
Yes and no. I would say I'm not a big fan of taking masses amount of time off. I think the human body is far more resilient than people think. Same with their mind, and that people will sort of convince themselves they need to take big chunks of time off. Apart from like serious injury or serious illness, there's probably not too many reasons I've come across where you need more than sort of 2 weeks off. Like big races, I'm like 2 weeks, do whatever you like, and then let's just start very, very gradually introducing movement. Doesn't have to be training, but just like, hey, let's go for a walk. Hey, let's do 1 minute on, 1 minute off. So let's start going to the gym and lifting. But time off, I would say 2 week periods bar injury or sickness.
Okay. And so say for someone like myself who has got, you know, this big kind of race coming up and if all goes well, I get my sub 4, but then I want to have a bit of time off from marathons. Would that kind of be more like I'm still training, but maybe I'm doing half marathons instead?
Yeah, for sure. We spoke about this, I can't remember which off-season episode, where it's like, this is why it's really important, and I'm do as I say, not as I do currently. But it's really, really important to have that plan. So we've just done this with the performance project, kind of because we did that episode, where we're like, hey guys, let's start forecasting 12 to 18 months out what you think you might want to do, where you think you want to be. And if you kind of have a pretty good idea of where you want to be in that period of time, whether that's run your first marathon, run a marathon at a certain time, half marathon, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It makes your next movements really, really easy. So Georgia, for example, has decided after Sydney Marathon, she really wants to focus on half marathons. Now, we haven't necessarily set a performance metric to that yet, but we know that when she comes out of a marathon block, we have no pressure to get back to training. We will start with some very light movement, or we'll give her time off, start with very light movement, and then just get her to a base level of fitness before we have to introduce any form of specificity.
Okay, cool. And so how do you know when, like, what are the signs that you might need to, say if you're in a training block, that you need to have a deload week or when you need to take rest?
Okay. We'll split them up into two different. So let's do deload. Deload is, I would say deload's more performance based. However, it's very, very nuanced. Like, you really need to be able to look at the whole picture of your training block and learn how you perform as an athlete. Mm-hmm. Take me, for example. If I do a really, really big weekend of training, I actually don't get tired until Wednesday. So my HRV doesn't dip till Wednesday. My performance doesn't dip till Wednesday. And I just know that about me as an athlete. So it'd be really, really easy to just look at Wednesday out of context and be like, oh, he needs a rest. But I know Wednesday's going to be bad. Thursday will be a bit better. And I'll be back to normal on Friday. So you do need to sort of understand the big picture. But key metrics would be HRV dipping, lower resting heart rate, not higher, lower, and probably rate of perceived exertion. So if you go back to our definitions episode, you'll hear a whole breakdown of that. But if things feel harder than what they should consistently, so that is the fourth bit of that is, don't go off one day. Look for trends. 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days in a row of bad performance, decreased resting heart rate, decreased HRV, things like that. That is like, they're the trends that you need to look for. And that's probably when you do a deload.
Yeah, so not like, like you just said, that it's a Wednesday for you, that that's going to be a bad day. But it's when it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you're waking up on Sunday and you're like, I'm still absolutely wrecked.
Yep.
That would be the time to take a deload. If, say, someone is doing a training program and in their training program, their deload isn't for another 2 weeks because they've just taken a random training program and decided that it needs to, that's what they're going to do for their thing. They haven't got a coach or anything who they can talk to. How, is it okay to move your deload a couple of weeks forward, or should you trust the process?
I am always a fan, and I try and do this with all of my athletes. I'm like, just try and do one more day. Just try and, even if it is go and do the warm-up, just go and try and get through it. If you go through it 10 minutes in, you're just like, and this is a really, really good sort of hack. Go and do the warm-up. No matter what the session is, go and do the warm-up. No matter how tired you are, how shit you feel. If you cannot get through the warm-up, if you feel worse going through the warm-up, call it, rest, deload. If you can get through the warm-up and you're like, oh, I don't feel too bad, you'll be okay for a few more days.
Okay, and so I guess that then that jumps us straight to when do you know when you need to have rest?
Yeah.
Because the deload, you're still training, you're just training at a lesser volume. So how do you know when you need to be like, all right, I need to take a few days off, or I need to take a week off, or whatever it is that you need to do? How do you know when that is?
I would say the metrics I mentioned earlier, HRV, heart rate, rate of perceived exertion, they're probably a little bit more extreme. So they've probably dipped even more outside of the normal range.
Yeah.
The next would be, I describe it as the kind of tired a good night's sleep can't fix. So if you get a good 8-9 hours, like a proper night's sleep, and you wake up and you're like, I'm in slow motion, I'm fucked, like legitimately legs are heavy, no matter how much coffee you have, you still feel tired.
Yeah.
That is probably due for a rest. I do put a caveat in there that I actually think the majority of people take too much rest and too many rest days.
Yeah, okay.
I think when we talk about endurance sports, most people come from the gym culture where it's train 5 or 6 days, rest day.
Yeah.
And that's just part of that culture. If you have a properly structured training program or you work with a coach, the need for rest days are very, very minimal, if at all. For example, all through my Ironman prep, didn't have a single one. Trained 7 days a week for 100 days. Georgia, I think will have, if you include your strength training, 3 or 4 maybe.
Yeah, depends. I have a lot of active recovery, which is really hard to gauge because I do 10 to 15,000 steps a day at work.
Yeah.
So it is very hard to gauge when I've actually had rest. I count Saturdays as a bit of a rest day because I'm not doing anything in the morning. I'm just kind of sleeping in. So for me, that's like a dream come true.
Yeah. We kind of take your active lifestyle into consideration.
Yeah.
So in terms of pure rest day where I'm like, hey, go get a massage, sleep in, make sure you eat, drink, and we put you through a recovery protocol. It's basically never.
No.
So
definitely not.
I actually think, most people take rest days a little bit too often. And if you do have a structured training program, or a very, a good coach, you should almost never need one if it's done properly through a training block. When you're in off-season base building, rest, recovery, important. When we're in a block, you should be very, very slowly just progressing up and up and up and up.
Yeah, and I think that's what I take for granted is the fact that I can just message you to be like, what do you think? I'm not feeling well. Is this me just being, a bit tired, or is this me being like, okay, Georgia, I think you really need to take a day. So I do take it for granted, but that is such a good thing when you've got a coach is that you can chat to them and it's a bit more personal.
Yeah, and it's what we sort of spoke about before from big picture. It is very, I always say the athletes are in the forest and I can sort of see, they can see the trees, I can see the forest. And let's just, Georgia hasn't done this, but I will use her as an example. If Georgia messages me on Thursday and be like, Matt, I'm just so tired, like this is fucked. And I go back and look through my notes. I'm like, oh, well, actually 3 Thursdays ago, Georgia messaged me with the same thing. And then 2 Thursdays before that, Georgia messaged me with the same thing. I'm like, I have the big picture, while Georgia would not remember that.
Yeah.
Like, just wouldn't even register. So that is why, like, I can see trends, I can see habits. Again, we spoke about HRV, say, over 4 or 5 days, looking at athlete behavior over 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, training block, whatever it might be, is also like, I look for trends within that as well. So that's why big picture is very important. And if you don't have a coach, using your training notes, make sure you leave like good training notes, not just this was a good session, like how did you feel, how did you perform, RPE. So then you can look back and be like, hey, you know what, last Wednesday I was actually really, really tired and I'm still tired now. Maybe I should do that. Or I've actually trained phenomenally and this could just be a bad session.
Yeah, which happens so often.
Of course.
When you're in a training block and you get a cold or the flu or whatever it is, at what point when you're sick, is it like training's not going to help me, or it's like, okay, it's just a bit of a cold, I can run through this? Because like for me, I'm like, oh, I don't need any time off, I'll just keep running. But then I'm like, is that making me worse? Is it just a cold? Like, how do you know when you should be, obviously besides the obvious answer of like if you can't move because you got the flu?
Yeah. I'd say it's super personalized, naturally. However, I would say my standard protocol for my guys, if they feel sick, pull all intensity out first of all, and then just bring down you almost give them a deload. We will pull all intensity out, pull the volume down, and be like, hey, just go run for 30 to 45 minutes, zone 2, and just see how you feel. More often than not, if it's just a basic head cold, getting a sweat in is actually like beneficial. If you get a sweat in, hydrate, eat some food, get a good night's kip, and you're normally pretty good to go within sort of 48 to 72 hours. If it progresses into something like a flu, then obviously you just need to sleep it off and hydrate as much as you can. A couple of extra little hacks is get into a sauna, or like super, super hot shower, like steam up your bathroom and just try and sweat it out as much as you can. They're like the top things. So I would say, anything light, just zone 2 it as much as you can. If zone 2 is too much, walk, but wear enough clothing to make you sweat. It should be slightly uncomfortable. Like the sweating is really, really important while you've got that little head cold, because you're just like flushing everything out of your system. I don't know how medically proven that is, but I have heard like enough running coaches and like nutrition specialists, dietitians, etc., like recommend very, very similar protocols. I don't know the exact science behind it, but that is, and I use it myself and it works a treat. So
the saunas is a good one. I always smash like vitamin C and zinc, just just go crazy on it. And then I have like a bunch of those ginger, turmeric shots that you can get.
Yep, Sam uses them. Yep.
So good. And my boss, he'll like, if I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling great, he'll start buying me juices, which I mean, smart, because then I'm still at work. He goes to Top Juice and gets me like a really big fresh juice full of, like we do orange, lemon, ginger, turmeric, all this amazing stuff.
Garlic, all that stuff.
Yeah, like all the stuff. And he's like, all right, come on, this is a power juice, like get into it. I'm like, yes, thank you, I need it. I actually just want to quickly jump forward. I just want to do one of these listener questions because I feel like this would really encapsulate everything we're talking about right now.
Go for it.
Now, I've left this one anonymous. She messaged me in my own personal Instagram, but she's talking about a friend in this, so I'm going to leave it anonymous. It's just safer. So she said, I have a friend who is my coach, but if I miss a session, I genuinely feel like I've really let her down. I don't like missing sessions, but if I have to because of sickness or other reasons, then I want to know what tips you, Matt, she's asking if I could ask you, make you go over the edge from accepting missed sessions to someone who's actually slacking off. So at what point do you recognize that a client is like, oh, I'm sick, they're actually missing sessions, or when it's, actually they need to miss a session? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Communication
is the biggest one. So I think it would be tough. I think it would be tough having a friend as a coach if the relationship was friend first.
Yeah.
Like most of my clients or my athletes who I have become friends with, it has been the coach relationship first. So there is still, I don't want to say that authority position, but like there is like, hey, you come to me for a service, you pay for that service, and then we have become friends after that. So there's still that level of, I don't know if respect is the right word, or like they want to get better, they want me to help them get better.
Yeah, you're not doing them a favor.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like if I had a friend and I was like, hey man, could you coach me? That dynamic might be a little bit different. Could be wrong, but that's just me outside looking in. Mm-hmm. I would say important thing is communication. I have got a couple of athletes who have had a horror run with sickness, injuries, family things, and like if we can get one session a week, sometimes that is a win. Like legitimately, like some of them in a really, really tough place, but they always communicate, which is the most important thing, because I know I don't just log into Training Peaks, check their training. Oh, no sessions this week. I'm like, I know this person's daughter is super sick and she's husband's away in the mines doing FIFO work, and she's single parent, and like I understand that dynamic, so it's not an issue. Yeah. If I did not have that context, I'd be like, yo, what the fuck's going on? Like, I've trained for 2 weeks. So definitely communication with your coach is the most important thing. I would say coaches are only as good as an athlete's communication, because unless they are working with you in person they've got nothing to go off. They've got some numbers on a screen. Like the more you talk to them, again, post-training comments, if they do a WhatsApp or that you're able to contact them in that way, the more you contact them, the more you touch base with them, the more touch points, the more they can help you, and the more they get the big picture. I always tell my guys, like, if work stress is coming on, if you got family stuff, whatever it is, tell me so we can plan around it. Don't just go, oh, I thought I'd make it work. Like I'm there to help you. So communicate with your coach. I think they said in that they're like, oh, I only miss one session, a training block or something, don't they? Yeah. So
it's like, I think I've missed one session.
Yeah. I mean, for the athlete, if your adherence is in the 90th percentile, you have nothing to be upset about, depressed about, feel guilty about, anything. Like you are probably one of the most consistent trainers you will find if that is the case. So definitely, and if your coach gives you a hard time about missing a session, just unless that is an absolute key must get done session and you did not communicate that with them, then I would really consider a change in coach if they make you feel that way. It's tough with the friendship dynamic too, because you don't want to make things awkward, but realistically, go for it, Georgia.
I think the tough thing is I feel like this person is putting a lot of pressure on themselves to be a good athlete for their friend. And as you said, the friendship thing is really tricky. I also think there's a time where, you need to go, okay, I actually probably am going to be a better athlete if I take a day off. I reckon 9 times out of 10, your coach doesn't even really, they're like, whatever, you missed a day. It doesn't matter. Let's move on. It's like with you and I, Matt, I'll be like, I was really bad in that session. I didn't adhere to my paces. My thing was like my heart rate was well off. Yeah. And Matt's just like, okay, on to the next. Don't worry about it. You gave it a crack. At least you tried. Again,
it's that forest through the trees. Like you're like, oh my God, this session. I'm like, yo, the last 7 have been awesome. Like, next. Who cares?
Next.
Keep moving.
Yeah. And this is what I said to Anonymous. I said to them, I'm going to answer this in the podcast properly for you because that's what they had requested. But I also just said, like, you got to not be so hard on yourself. Like, as you said, Matt, your adherence is through the roof. Like, you're an incredible athlete. So don't feel guilty. Take the time off if you need it. As in, like, go through the things we've talked about today. find the signs and go, actually, I feel like I need a bit of a deload or I need a bit of time, and then communicate with your coach like Matt's just said. He sees it all the time. And hopefully...
Communication's the most important by far. The only time there is ever an issue with any of my athletes is when they haven't communicated.
Yeah.
Like someone with CD to surf.
Sure, the funny thing, the ironic thing is, right? I don't even know if my friend's going to listen to this, so it's fine. My friends actually were like, come and do City to Surf with us. Do it with us. Do it. Because I actually wasn't going to do it this year because I was like, I need to focus on Sydney. Anyway,
I'm sure that was the conversation we had.
Yeah, probably. I forgot. And she's like, you got to do it. Like, do it with me. It's going to be my first one. And I was like, okay, like, I'll be a good friend. I'll pace you, like, all that kind of stuff. I'll help you get through it. Like, I'm very good at being like, come on, let's go. Keep going. Anyway, she messages me on Monday. I was like, hey, like, we're still running on Sunday. She's like, I've got a chest infection. I'm not running. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So now I'm like, oh my God, I'm running it alone. Oh, and I have to do my long run on Friday because of Sunday. But I'm like, oh, anyway, I have to do it now. I've committed.
Yeah, should be right, mate.
She'll be right. So this kind of, the end of that question, we were just chatting about how, you know, there are times when you do need to take time off and be less hard on yourself. What are the kind of risks if you don't take time off? So say if you're sick or like if you're pushing yourself too hard and you don't listen to the signs and you don't take time off, are there like, what could be some risks or things that could happen?
I would say before that, pushing yourself is very, very important. And I think people hear rest and recovery and how important it is, and they almost prioritize that above training.
Yeah.
I do think sometimes it is healthy to find where your limits are. And Sam hates this. I'll tell her, like, this week I got to go to the dark place, and she'll be like, "What? Why do you need to do that?" And I'm like, I need to find out. So there is. I gotta go. Sorry, I gotta carry the boats. So I do think there is definitely an important aspect of when things, and we spoke about this last week, when things feel hard and you feel that friction, sometimes it's important to push through that. Yeah. That being said, more for experienced athletes, you will know when you need that rest.
Yeah.
Cool. Then now we'll get into like the actual stuff. So obviously if you're sick, you could risk getting sicker. So when you run and your cardiovascular system is stressed, your immune system naturally dips because your body is also trying to recover from the running stress or weightlifting stress or whatever exercise stress, and it is trying to recover from a virus, head cold, whatever it might be. Injury, obviously, soft tissue injuries, very, very prominent. What was the other one, Georgia? What was the other part of the question?
I forgot. It's like what? Like, what are the risks? Like, come on. If it's
getting sicker and injury are the main ones.
Yeah,
they're the stock standard.
I'm just trying to think, like, you know, when you just like, nah, just keep pushing, and then you really do make yourself worse.
Yeah, for sure. Again, it is do not rest at the first sign of rest. Like, your body is very resilient. It will send you messages to rest well before you need it. So just do it on progressive overload your rest. So the same way 1 week you might run 1K, then 1.5, then 2. When you think about rest, go, okay, this is the first sign I need rest. I'm going to wait for the second sign, then go to the second sign, and then have your rest. And then the next time, go to the third one. And you will find where it ramps up. You will see the alarm bells going off. It won't just be like a little, hey, I'm pretty tired. It's like, dude, if we don't rest right fucking now, everything is going to break.
You sleep on the
When
bus.
you get there, that's when you should rest. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like, you know, do you believe in a taper cold? Have you had that?
What? No.
Oh.
Like when you get sick on taper.
Yeah. And like, I see this a lot online, but I get it. And I mean, touch wood, I don't get it this time. But every time I've tapered for a race, I've got a cold. Every single one I can remember. And it's obviously like you're putting your body through so much stress, and then you start to slow down. Your body's like, cool. Now we can rest.
Yeah. That's, I would actually argue that that is because, and you see this with elite athletes, but it's always after a race, and that is because people do not taper correctly. They go from, so you would see in your training plan this week, we go from peak week, then we've got absorption week, where it's like not taper, but it's not peak, it's somewhere in the middle, and then we go into a taper. But your taper is still going to be a decent amount of volume. It's not going to be nothing.
Nothing.
I think most people go peak, nothing, and their body treats it like that was the race.
And
They don't. So it's not this gradual come down and then race. It is this off a cliff, boom, and then they try and bounce out for the race, and then they get sick in that hole. Yeah. The valley or the hole of training will be on the other side of the race. So I think people taper incorrectly, or they lose focus. The amount of athletes. You want to talk about something that annoys coaches. They train perfectly. They do their block perfectly. You get to taper and they're like, I just didn't feel like it. And you're like, dude, this is like the second most important bit of the whole training block is the taper. Like, we've got to keep you fresh. We've got to keep the engine ticking over. And it's like when the people who dip right off are the people who don't have the race performance that was indicative of their training.
Yeah, that makes so much sense about your body feeling like you've already had the race. It's like when you go on holidays and you always get sick when you go on holidays because you go from
100 to 0.
Oh, saying the same thing?
Yeah.
I always get questions from people saying like, how do you know when you're sore or exhausted or tired versus when you're actually injured? I think because people see me saying all the time like, oh, my hip was cramping so bad, but I like kept doing the run. Like for me, I know when I'm like, actually, that's really painful, mostly because I'll start crying. But I guess, it's really just personal, right? How you know?
I would say like the obvious one is acute pain. Like there is a big difference. If you've got DOMs from the gym, you can like walk around and it's like, it's uncomfortable, but it's not acute pain. Like you're not
crying.
You're not crying. Yeah, exactly. But like if you start running and you're like, if I take another step, my ankle might snap. Like that is a very different feeling to my quads are sore from squats. So like, I feel like it's like, it is personal, but that's a bit of common sense. Like you should be able to tell the difference between acute pain, and your body should be like, yo man, it's time to pull up. Yeah.
And also I think people want to be told like you need time off, or you must be injured, so you got to take the time off and stuff like that.
Rest culture is a real thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't help you with that. I'm really sorry. Like for me, yes, I'm in pain. It hurts, but I know that
got shit to do. Got goals. We're working.
Yeah, and I knew this coming into this block. I knew my physio
we knew you were
said to
compromised.
me. Yeah, and you said to me, you were like, you are going to be in pain. It's going to suck, but you got to suck it up. This is the choice I made, and this is obviously what you're going through at the moment. Whereas I had to go, okay, if I don't do this now, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do it again. So
100%.
I got to do it. So I have to just cope with the pain. And it's honestly not that bad, but yeah.
Again, difference between pain and discomfort versus acute pain. Like if let's just say it's your hip. So let's just say like the socket joint in your hip was like grinding and it was sending nerve damage, like nerve signals. Your body would go, hey, fucking stop.
Yeah, fall over.
Yeah, like it would just stop you from running. Like it would just like your leg would just turn off. Like your body is very, very smart. But the fact that you are in discomfort and you can just be like, mind over matter, I'm going to just push through this no matter how much it hurts. Like, okay. Like there is just a difference in the level of pain. Like I don't know how else to describe it other than that. Yeah,
that's fair. And it's the level of discipline as well, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Well, let's jump into the listener questions. I have an extra 3 today. So we normally only do 3, but we had one before, so I'm going to give you another 3. So Cam Lucky first, he has asked, what is the best training you can do if you are sick? So what's the best kind of training?
So we kind of just spoke about that before, but it's depending on sickness, obviously the severity of sickness. If you are bedridden, sleep, hydrate, get calories in. No matter how sick you are, try and get calories in because that's what your body needs to repair itself. Vitamin C, vitamin D, fish oil tablets are all great while sick. If it is just a head cold, we're talking light movement, zone 2 sort of stuff. If you can't run, walk enough to make yourself sweat, or wear enough clothing to make yourself sweat. If you can get to a gym and get in the sauna, or you have a sauna at home, saunas are awesome. 20 to 30 minutes in there.
Yeah.
Other good hacks before you go to bed are like, what's it called? The heat rub feature, like
Vicks.
Vicks, stuff like that. I know that's like kind of old school, but it does help like clear things out. It does help while you are. There was actually a study, and they haven't done the final results, but they are studying. You know how everyone's using nose tape to like help open up their noseways? They're doing the same thing with different. I don't know if they're using Vicks, but Vicks equivalents to like see if that has the same effect on athletes. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Yeah, but anything like that to help you breathe more and sweat and keep yourself hydrated and calories high, that is super important.
But this is not medical advice, so
Not medical advice in any way. I'm not a doctor.
Just not a doctor. Okay. So, but I guess you could jump on a bike as well if you want to keep your legs moving.
Any light exercise, zone 2 equivalent on spin bike, elliptical, you name it, treadmill, stair climber, walking outside. I don't know if people do that anymore, but that is also an option. Yeah, anything like that.
Okay,
Climb
perfect.
a tree, go play in the park.
Don't run in the rain.
Don't run in the rain, yeah.
Oh, so much fun. Okay, cool. Jessie has asked, how long of breaks can you take? Oh, sorry, I'm going to start again. I've written these questions out, guys, and I totally wrote this one completely wrong. Sorry. Jessie has asked, how long in total of breaks can you take on a 30-minute run? What is acceptable for a first marathon training block?
30-kilometer run.
Did I not? I said that.
You said 30-minute.
Oh, sorry.
30 minutes, none. 0.
Do not take a break. So if you're on a 30-kilometer run, Jessie has asked, how many breaks can you take? I'm so sorry.
I would say it is dependent on your performance goals. If you are going out there and you're like, I want to absolutely send my soul and do my absolute PB, you shouldn't be taking breaks in a 30K run. Realistically, like, there is no need at all for any reason. You cannot convince me otherwise. If you are happy to, if your goal is survival and you're like, I just want to get through start to finish and feel good, I'd say like just one at sort of halfway, maybe 2 if you wanted to break it up into 3 by 10K for a couple of minutes to change your water bottles over, have a gel. If you wanted to change your shoes, for example, you could, like if you're doing some race pace efforts or something. But on it, like, the less we're resting, the better, because you're not going to stop in the middle of the marathon and just hang out at an aid station for 5 minutes. Like, it is continuous. So the more continuous training we do, the better.
Yeah, I'm a shocker for this. I love a quick like drink break. So
running with Georgia in the city is such a different experience to my training.
I don't know what it is though, because when it comes to race
I'm surprised we don't stop and do
day,
some window shopping with you. Like, oh, that looks nice. Like, man, I'm just going to go in there and buy that. I'm like, fuck are we doing?
seriously, I'm shocking. But I don't know what it is during a race. I don't have any urge to stop. I can just keep
Yeah,
going.
because you're in a race.
Yeah, I know. But like, you would think that if in all my training runs I've been stopping at traffic lights and stopping for water and stuff, that I'd have the urge in a race to actually stop. But I don't. I don't know why. But in saying that, there are races like this coming long run. I won't take breaks unless I really have to. But it is very helpful if you actually get used to not taking breaks. But in the same breath, I'm also just going to play devil's advocate here and say, if you need to take a break, it's not the end of the world. Like, have a little break, have a little bit of water. If you want to go look at Benny the Seal down at the Opera House, you do that.
Yeah, that is the second part. Like, if you feel like you need to take a break, that's cool. Like, you can walk in the marathon and take a break. Like, that we're just talking about what's optimal. But yeah, look, if you feel like you need it, go for it. If
you're chasing PBs, try not to. Yeah. But if you're just going for fun, for funsies, you want to take a little break, you do that. Have a little hot girl walk for a minute.
And I suppose the other part of that, George, you hit on that was like, like if you live in the city, traffic lights, etc. I mean, you can only do what you can do. That's just kind of an unfortunate circumstance, but like that just is what it is.
Yeah, and for the runs that I really try not to stop, that's where I start doing laps of Centennial, which is brutal.
Yeah.
But you can do it. There are like longer laps that you can take. Yeah, it's not. There are longer laps though. Like the inside loop is 3.68, but you can actually do, there's an outer loop. There's also the roads on the outside you can take that have no traffic lights as well. There's a couple little loops you can do that are like 10K, turn around, or you could do the bay run. There's heaps of options, but try and find yourself a route where there are no traffic lights, because it is helpful to like practice race simulation.
Yep.
Yeah, but take a break if you need it. Cool. Lucky last, Olivia has asked tips for running her first ultramarathon 50-kilometer hilly trail run. God, I'm gonna roll tonight, guys.
Mate, you can. 7:30. I'm supposed to be the one who's in bed, and George is she's on struggle street.
I'm Delulu today. I'm sorry.
Cool. So this is kind of my passion at the moment is trail running. So
I can't help you here. I'm sorry. This is all on Matt.
Yeah. Tips for. So number one is nutrition, right? So when we think about something like 50 Ks, there's no change out of 6 hours. I don't know what the exact elevation of your one is, but probably no change out of 6 hours. A long time to keep yourself fueled. So that's number one, important, is practice that nutrition strategy. Number two is hill repeats, both up and down. So run up the hill. You could be like 10 reps, 1 minute up the hill, rest for 30 seconds at the top of the hill, run 1 minute down the hill. So really like making sure that your quads are really sort of copping a beating. If it is something like the one in the Blue Mountains, for example, where there's a lot of stairs, you would want to incorporate like race specific work. So really it's really important in trail running is to know the terrain, or at least know what the course profile is. If there are stairs, stair climbing is so different to steep hill climbing, steep hill running. So make sure you practice stairs if you need to. Single trail. So if you are on obviously like a goat track, cattle track, something like that, you really need to like spend some time doing technical trail running. If you have to run with poles, again, something very, very important to practice. I would say most of all, I'd say realistically, you can do a standard marathon training block and adding some sport specific stuff, the stuff I just mentioned, and you'll be right as rain, as well as getting your nutrition in.
That's so handy to know. I didn't even think about those extra things like holding the poles, and if you're on like a single track, because I feel like that's where a lot of people come unstuck and end up getting really injured, right? Is because they're not used to that kind of exact terrain.
Yeah, injured or just like if they're performance minded, hemorrhaging time. Like if you go from running, there's guys who can run down single trails, guys and girls, but just guys and girls who can run down single trails the exact same pace they run on flat, whatever, like they don't miss a beat. And then there are people who essentially have to walk down it. And if you're seeing the difference between like a 5-minute K and a 12-minute K while going downhill, like that's huge. So and just the confidence of being able to, when we talk about single trail work, you're looking 2 or 3 meters, maybe even 5 meters ahead of your feet to what the rocks and what the tree roots and what the terrain is doing, but you're also looking at exactly where your feet are landing at the same time, so you're not twisting an ankle. So getting on that single trail and just being able to look where you're running, but also look where you're landing simultaneously is very, very important. And like that's a learned skill, takes a long time. Practice, get a little bit quicker. And but yeah, once you get the hang of it, your trail running will evolve. It is a massive hack.
You're doing a couple of long trail runs soon, aren't you? Some ultras?
Yeah, I've got August 17th, maybe. I'm doing a 24-hour team ultra marathon. I'm going to try and run 250 Ks.
The team? Yeah,
so it's a team of 4. And then in September, I am doing the Lonely Mountain Ultra Marathon, which is 50-something Ks as well. But that's got like 2,000 meters of climbing, I think. So that's pretty gnarly. And then I don't know what's going to be on for the rest of the year, but they're the two I've got definitely lined up.
How many trail runs versus road runs do you do when you're training for that?
The majority of my stuff will be road running just from ease and practicality.
Yeah.
Realistically, all I do is my long run. I go out to the trails on a Sunday, like Saturday or a Sunday, and do 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, I would also say I am I'm not super experienced, but like I am a confident trail runner. So I don't feel the need to do a lot of the sport specific stuff. I could probably do the sport specific stuff for 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, like my peak weeks, and just sort of refine those skills and be sweet. If you are a newer trail runner, I would recommend probably getting out to the trails twice a week if you could. One being like a skill specific session, and one being that longer endurance sort of trail run, getting used to being out there, carrying your vest, carrying your mandatory gear. I'm not sure, 53 might not have mandatory gear, but if you have mandatory gear, getting used to that weight in your vest as well. Sometimes you have to carry 5, 6, 7 kilos of stuff, like all your safety gear and whatnot, plus your nutrition. So all things to consider.
I actually have a question for you, Matt.
Go for it.
And I just thought about it now. So I was at my physio today and he was doing all my needling and stuff, and he was like, I really need to see what's causing all this pain. And he's like, do you have any videos of yourself on a treadmill running back behind? And I was like, actually, I do. Classic
Funny
me.
you mentioned that.
Funny you mentioned that. I have so many. So he had a look at my thing and he's like, it looks like you're running a certain way. And I was feeling I get really embarrassed about my form. Like, even like we had this conversation on the weekend on our long run, you were like, what's going on with your arms? And I'm very well aware, like my arms, there's something happening with my back, but I know that I run a little bit funny because I've taught myself. Do you think, like, is it possible to fix all these things, or am I just like going to be a weird runner for the rest of my life?
You can fix any muscular pattern you can fix.
Yeah.
The way I try and explain this to people is, everyone thinks they can run because they ran as kids, they played footy, they played soccer, they chased their friends, whatever it was. And let's say you started doing that from 3 or 4 years old. Georgia, how old are you right now?
I'm 30.
30. Cool. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, 25 years of muscle memory has been cemented into that running.
Yeah.
What people don't understand and probably aren't willing to do is the amount of work and time and regression to go back and reteach yourself to run and then slowly build that back up. It is not to fix 25 years of, and it's not you did something wrong, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So for anyone who has a running imbalance, or they don't like the way they run, they don't think it's good, it's like you don't know what you don't know, right? You're comparing yourself to people who do know what they know. Or just naturally have good running mechanics, which for those people, fuck you.
Seriously,
I do not.
That's how I feel.
Exactly. So the majority of people, any muscular pattern you can reteach. You just need to be willing to regress, go backwards, and start from the ground up. So imagine you couldn't read, right? The exact thing. Like, hey, we're going to have to start. We can't start with Harry Potter. Like, we got to start with a pop-up picture book, right? And most people, a 30-year-old woman would not be comfortable being like, I'm going to teach myself to read, and be reading on the bus a pop-up picture book to teach herself to read. It is no different to running, or it's like learning a different language. Like, you would start with the alphabet. You would start with how to say hello and goodbye and cat and dog and very simple words. So it is no different to running. It's just neuromuscular pathways that you would need to recondition. So I know we said this after Sydney last year, but it didn't pan out. But probably after Sydney this year, it would be a good time to strip everything back and just rebuild you from the ground up.
Yeah, because he was saying like he was looking at my thing, he's like, you're really falling to your right, like you're really swaying down to the right. He's like, put a piece of tape on the treadmill and try and like run either side of it so you're not swaying, kind of.
Yep.
And I was just
North and
like,
south, not east and west.
Yeah, and I've had a few people say that to me in the nicest way. They were just like, I actually think you're just running on a tightrope instead of running parallel. And I don't know what it is. I just get so embarrassed about it. And even like this morning I had an event and I saw like a video of myself running next to someone else. And I was like, why don't I look like that? It just really eats away at me. And I just left the physio just like, oh my God, I have to fix everything. And I'm like, I just don't know if it's even possible. But I guess, yeah, as you said.
It's the wrong way of looking at it too. Like when we talk about goal setting,
yeah,
you don't go, oh my God, I have to do everything. You go, what do I have to do next?
Yeah.
So it's like, cool. If I want to rebuild my running form, let's break it down into the 10 most important things or the 7 most important things, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so what is the most important? What is the biggest bang for my buck? What is the low-hanging fruit? And I'll just use arbitrary things. Let's say it's your arm position. Let's say our whole focus is to get you going north and south, not east and west. Once we do that, awesome. That's all we're going to focus on for 3 months, 6 weeks, whatever it is. And then you retrain that pattern. We don't worry about anything else. We just arms. And then what's the next one? Oh, let's start working on your foot position. Cool. Let's get you off that tightrope and get you running at 11 and 1. So parallel down the clock.
Yeah.
Or on train tracks, however you want to do that. And then you just focus on that. And then we focus on pairing 11 and 1 with your arms. And then, cool. Now all of a sudden we've knocked 2 big things off, like 2 of the biggest that gets you 70, 80% of the way there. So it is wrong to think about goal setting as I need to do everything. It is about what is the next most achievable thing and / low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, gosh. It's just, I think because it's a thing where it's quite a lot of things. So
yeah, of course.
Sorry.
But when you make content, do you try and do everything at once? Or you're like, cool, I'm going to work on the hook, I'm going to work on the B-roll, I'm going to work on the voiceover, and then I'm going to work on the caption, and then whatever image I'm going to put on my grid. You don't think about, I need to do everything. You think, these are the 5 steps.
Yeah.
And then now, because you have done it so much, you don't actually think about it in 5 steps. You think about it in a step. It's like, make content. That is it. The same thing happens with running, with whatever. You just got to teach yourself the habits and the patterns. And then over time, like we said before, your body is very, very smart. Things become subconscious.
Yeah. And I think I guess I just need to really sit down and like work out when I do fix something, is that the right fix? Because I feel like there's been so many times where I've tried to fix something and I'm actually done worse because I'm not fixing it. I'm making it worse.
The next question I would ask is, what is the why behind it? So do you just want to fix it because you think you look funny, or you think that it's potentially causing you injury, or you think it is performance inhibiting, whatever it might be, and then work out if that why actually is worth the amount of work. So if you're just like, oh, I just don't like the way I look, so okay, well, everyone looks a bit different when they run. Like no one looks like Usain Bolt, so that doesn't really matter. But if you're like, hey, like I'd really like to qualify for Boston within the next 3 to 5 years, I'm like, okay, like realistically, we need to make some changes because your current running form does not contribute to that goal.
Yeah.
So like,
and I think it's everything. I honestly do. I think you're right. It is a bit of how I look and I get embarrassed about how I run. It is a bit of like, I know it's inhibiting my performance. Like I feel like I'd be faster if I ran more efficiently, which is true. And then also like it is causing injuries. And I think it's an overuse thing, but it's also like if I'm running on a tightrope, my hip and glute muscles are obviously being stretched more, and it's like, there's so many things. But yeah, I was just interested to hear what your thoughts were, and I needed a bit of Coach Matt.
That's what I'm here for. Hyperlogical, no emotion.
See, guys, we do make fun of each other, but there are times when Matt and I have a very strong
That's like a very real
athlete
coaching conversation Georgia and I would have offline.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, that's most of the conversations that you and I have. So it is nice. I thought instead of asking you off cam, I thought I would talk about it on the pod.
Yeah, and I would say just for anyone who has any sort of, even for like our listener who was the anonymous listener having the issue with their friend, remove emotion from your decision-making process, which is hard, but when you understand it without emotion, things become very clear. So like Georgia wants to change her running style. I would argue that her looking different on camera is not a good enough reason to do it.
No.
Her potentially being injured and affecting her long-term health, very, very good reason to do it. Cool. What do we need to change to stop her getting injured. It is now, we don't need to rebuild everything. We just need to isolate 2 or 3 things to stop her getting injured.
Yeah.
And then we work on that. So no emotion, guys. Just try and look down the barrel.
Thank you, Matt. That's very helpful. I feel a little bit better now.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. What do you think, Matt? Any last thoughts?
No, Sam bought burgers like 15 minutes ago and I'm hungry.
He's hungry. All right. As always, guys, jump across to Instagram and follow us at beyondthefinishline_pod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, download, do all the things. Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week for episode 30.
Hooroo.
Bye.